Hello, and welcome to my first lesson live stream. So, my name's Dave, and I'm a guitar teacher in the north of the UK. And yeah, so there's a lot of people doing these like live streams and things at the moment, and I think it's a really good idea. A lot of the people that I follow are all really quite advanced players, so a lot of the live streams I've seen seem to be tailored more towards the advanced players, so I thought I'd actually start trying to maybe get on the bandwagon a bit and do a live stream that's more tailored for beginners and intermediate players. So I was on one of the Facebook groups that I like the other day, and I was asking chords, and bar chords are a very common subject that I get in my one-to-one lessons, as majority of my time I do one-to-one lessons. So I thought I'd do this live stream just to really just discuss bar chords a little bit and see if there's anything I can do or say or give you to help you out with bar chords. So just to start, I'm just going to have a little bit of a jam with myself to warm up a little bit. It's a very strange thing doing these live streams because I've never done one quite like this before. So one thing that I find very strange about it is I've got a similar feeling to what I would get if I was playing a gig. It's a really strange thing. So let's say I'm just going to have a bit of a jam first of all. So I'm going to have a bit of a loop that I've made. I do hope that everyone can hear me okay. Okay, I think that'll do for a bit of a warm-up. So, bar chords. They are one of the most challenging things for people to get... It's for people to actually learn how to do when they are quite new to playing guitar. So we're going to start discussing a bit about bar chords. So, first of all then, I'm just going to change my guitar sound to something a little bit more fitting. So, 1 second. That'll do. Okay. So bar chords. Right, so basically a bar chord is when you basically play more than one string or more than one note on different strings, but using just one finger to bar across the strings. You can have small little bars, like when you do a D minor 7 kind of chord, the F chord, where you play with the bar across the bottom 2 strings, that kind of thing. I think what everyone's meaning when they say they're having trouble with bar chords, they mean the proper big bar chords, these guys. So, bar chords. The way that I would approach it, first of all, is understanding what we are doing when we play a bar chord. So, the way I like to see bar chords is take your normal chord shape. So if we take a normal E major chord, a good place to start. So normal E major chord, that would play with the open strings. Now if we were then to change our fingers around, so we are playing the bar chord with the open chord without the first finger. So you're moving from where your first finger was, now is where your second finger, so that's going to be the first fret of the G string. Third finger, goes on the A string on the second fret. And then your little finger goes on the second fret of the D string. So you've got this shape. Now this shape, standard E chord, but now we're just getting rid of this finger, that's all. So, bar chord, all we're going to do is, this is now a major chord shape. That's what we should see this as. Rather than being an E major, now we're seeing this shape as being a major shape. So all we're going to do is move this up one fret, place a bar down in front of it. So now we're moving what we could see as being moving this top note down a fret. And we are now pressing down all the way with this first finger. And these fingers are doing the exact same thing as they were before. But now all we're doing is playing a bar chord. Now this is the F major bar chord, but we'll come to that in a moment. So that's the general idea of what a bar chord is. We're basically just taking an open chord shape, moving it somewhere else on the neck, and then putting a bar in front of it. So the first thing is how to play them, because these are actually quite tricky to play at first. They're really hard to play when you've never played them before. So I have a couple of exercises that I give people to get used to bar chords and get their get the strength up to do them, you know, because they are quite they're quite hard for the fingers to get used to playing at first, and everyone feels it in different places. When I started doing them, I felt it more in my thumb here, where I haven't heard many people that I teach say they get the feeling in the same part. A lot of people say they feel it like down here, but either way, if you get practicing at this, then you're gonna get the conditioning up to be able to do them. So the first exercise that I always give people to do is to take your first finger and bar it across all of the strings on the first fret. Now, you want to have your thumb around the back of the guitar. Some people will do it like this. You don't want to do that, you're going to have the thumb flat. And we want to pretty much pinch the guitar neck, so you squeeze the strings down with your, like a claw motion. And that's why it can be quite tricky to get, because every other chord you've done, if you're getting used to your open chords, your thumb can be quite high up or over the top. With the bar chord, the thumb's got to be quite low. And I would say a good thing to try and think is get your wrist low. So your wrist should be quite low and out. And I usually think, it's not precise, but I would say that this part of your wrist here should pretty much be in line with the guitar neck. So the exercise is going to be is you flatten across the string. Now you play all the strings. It's not going to sound the best. It's not meant to. But it's an exercise. So now you want to get used to that. It's getting used to the grip. So you press down, you squeeze with your thumb, you play across all the strings, and then you go up a fret and you go all the way down all of the frets. I'd say until you get to about 12th fret, and then back up. Now you don't really want to do this. This isn't a speed exercise. You want to be doing this so that you are conditioning your wrist and your pinching motion to be able to actually handle doing these types of chords. So that's your first exercise, and quite strict for you. Make sure your wrist is low, because when I do this with people, sometimes they'll start doing that, and that defeats the object of this exercise. You want to have your thumb low, your wrist low, and you then use this squeezing motion. So that's your first exercise, going all the way down the neck and back up. And like I say, you want to slow. I know I did it quick there, but you quite slow. And the main thing is you want to make sure you're getting every single to make a sound. You're getting every single note pressed down. Okay, so that's your first exercise to do. Your second exercise is pretty much the same, but with another type of grip. So that shape that I showed you earlier, that E major chord, but without your first finger. You want to do the same thing. So you make the E chord shape using your second, third, and fourth fingers, and then you press down the strings as normal. But rather than doing what you would do open, where you bring your thumb up or you have your wrist down in the same way that I was just saying with the first bar. So you want to do this: wrist low, thumb in the middle at the back, without pressing down with the tip of the thumb, just with the pad of the thumb. And then you do the same thing. You keep your wrist in that position, keep your grip like that, and you go all the way down. That always sounds Spanishy to me. And you go all the way down the guitar, keeping that grip. Don't worry about your first finger. And I say a lot of these won't sound great, but they're not meant to. It's an exercise. Some of them sound great. I always like that one. Sounds really nice. Reminds me of Radiohead. So that's your second exercise. And the third exercise is putting them both together. So you then get your E chord shape, move it up a fret, get that first finger down, flattened against all the strings, and try and get every note to sound. Can hurt quite a bit at first, and as always, that I always say to all my students is, if it starts to hurt, take a break and come back to it. You don't want to play through if it's hurting. If it's hurting, then you're going to cause damage to yourself if you keep up with it. So, okay. So, the exercise going all the way down using this chord grip. And we can do that with different chord shapes. So E major is a perfect one to start with. You can do it then with your E minor. Do the exact same thing, all the way down up. And it's the same principle now on the fifth string chords. So again, we'll come to these in a bit. This is just the exercises. So same exercise going all the way down. And when you're doing the major shape, what we will be doing is doing A chord shape. So start with making an A chord using these three fingers. So without your first finger, thumb, wrist out, same thing, all the way down, all the way back up. And I think you can, I'll put that away. Always tries to ring you. I'm guessing this is because James is probably watching this. So there we go. Right, so that's that. So I'm just going to check online. Yep, everything looks fine on there. So that's fine. Hoping the sound is working. I'm sure everything is fine. Just having a quick double check on everything on here. Yep, that's all fine. Good stuff. Right. So now, the next thing I want to go through is the actual names of the chords and the shapes that we can use. So first of all, I have this sheet. Let's see if I can bring it up for you. Now these sheets are available by visiting the link in the description box below. I've provided these sheets, these practice resources for free. So if you want to check those out, just go to the link in the description box and you can get these sheets. So the idea here is basically, in my opinion, it's important to know chord names. It just makes sense. I mean, what's the point in not knowing them? I mean, if you don't want to know them, fair enough. But I see it as, how is knowing something a bad thing? So what we want to do is, so we're starting on the 6th string roots, the 6th string, the top string. So on the sheet here, we have all of the notes on the top string. So the open string is E, and then we just go down the musical alphabet and we just find the notes. So we've got E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and back to E. And that's your 12 frets that we're going to cover in these with these bar chords. So now when it comes to playing chords, what we do is we want to find, let's say, an A chord, an A bar chord. So what you do is you go down the on the sheet and you find where it says A. So we've got an A at the 5th fret. So what that's telling you is that's where your bar starts. So we're going to put our finger down on the 5th fret of the guitar, and we're going to play with a bar across with your first finger. So your first finger bars across all those strings. And then I said I want to play an A major bar chord. So we look down the bottom of the screen and you should see there's two, for the 6-string root shapes, there's 2 shapes. There's a major shape and a minor shape. So the major shape is the same as what we just did with that E major that we moved around the neck. So we're going to place your second finger on the G string at the 6th fret. Third finger goes on the 7th fret of the A string, and the little finger goes on the D string at the 7th fret as well. So when you've got that shape, it should look like this. Now this shape is a classic bar chord shape, so you want to make sure that you've, if you've done your training, you've done your exercises, then this should be okay. You bar across with the first finger. All these notes are all pressed down correct, using a big arch on the fingers, using your fingertips, and you get a lovely A major chord sound. So now you know this shape, and we've got this sheet we can use. We can now find every single type of chord on this string. So if I say I want to play a B major chord, then you find B, which is on the 7th fret, and then you move down to the 7th fret, same shape, because that's your major shape. There you go, we've got a B major chord. Let's say we wanted to find the F major chord, a very common chord to play. So then all we do is we find F on the sheet, which is the 1st fret, and then we move our bar chord all the way back to the 1st fret, and now we've got your major chord, you've got your F major. So that's the major chord shape. And now we're going to the minor chord shape. So let's say we want to now find an A minor bar chord. So this is one of the things that I find when you do this enough, is when you found A a few times, you'll know where it is. So this is the important thing, is you start to remember where these are. You don't necessarily have to sit down and go through them every day going F, F sharp, G and find them. The more you implement them, the more you're going to learn them. So we know that A is at the 5th fret, because we've just done it for an A major, so that's where our bar is. But this time we're looking at the minor shape. So the minor shape is the one next to the major chord that we looked at before. So 6-string root chords, minor shape. Now it's the same shape, but we don't have that second finger on the G string. We have that open, well, up, I should say, not open. And that means that the bar is taking control of that entire 5th fret. So now we've gone from A major, which was this, take that finger off, and the bar is there. And that is all the way across the 5th fret. And that means now we have an A minor chord. Much sadder sound. When I first started doing these kind of chords, I used to use my second finger on these minor chords to press down as well on the bar to make it a bit easier. Which is absolutely fine. I don't see a problem with doing that at first. So let's say you wanted to find, let's do a different one. So a G sharp minor bar chord. So you look on the sheet. So you can get the sheet by going to the description box below and downloading it there for free. And you find G sharp, which is at the 4th fret. So then you go to the 4th fret and place your bar, and then we want to make the minor shape. There's your G sharp minor. Now it's the same thing with flats. Now I'm not going to go into details about flat chords and sharp chords today, because that all comes down to music theory. I have a very common question I get asked by people when they're first starting to play is, what's the point in flats? There is reasons for that. If you want to check out my basic music theory course, you can check that out on my website, which is daveguitar.co.uk, and you'll find on the online lessons page, you'll find a basic music theory course, which is 8 lessons, and it goes through all the basics of music theory and everything you'll need to know. But if you do come across something that says, let's say, B flat, I also have a sheet for you in the download, which has the flat notes on there as well. So B flat, so we find B flat on the top string. So if you can see it there, it's on the 6th fret. So then we place our bar on the 6th fret. Okay, so bar's at the 6th fret, and then if it's a minor chord, it's this shape. If it's a major chord, it's this shape. So let's play the major chord. Let's play the minor chord. Really nice sounding chords. And that's the basic principle of the bar chords, and that's the 6-string root. So we've done the 2 chord shapes that you'll need to know at first for that. Now let's go on to the 5th-string root. Now I come into the 5th-string root because one of these chord shapes is quite tricky to do, and people find it really hard to do, and I'm not surprised because it is not easy. So when it comes to the 5th-string root, it works in the same principles. So bring up that sheet again. Now let's say we want to find a D minor bar chord. So we find D on the 5th-string root, which is at the 5th fret, and that's where we're going to start our bar from. So our bar now, instead of being in the last one where it starts from the top string, it now starts from the string below. A little side note here is I will often be touching the 6th string first finger, but I won't press it down, and I get this deadened sound. So even if I strum the top string, it won't make a sound. It'll just make a deadened sound. If you have that open, can sound a little bit heinous. But that's a little side note for you to work on when you get going at these bar chords properly. Now, I said D minor chords. So on the 2 shapes on the, it should be the right of the screen, we have a major shape and we have a minor shape. So the minor shape is going to be 2nd finger on the 6th fret, 3rd finger on the 7th fret, I should say 6th fret of the B string, sorry. The D string on the 7th fret with your 3rd finger, and your little finger is going to be on G string of the 7th fret as well. Now this, really nice chord, really lovely sound. So D minor bar chord. Now to go back a second, when we did these chord shapes earlier, now we're starting to get into the into grips with it a little bit more. Just check on something. Yeah, all fine. Now we're going through it a bit more. When we did the major chord, we took the E major shape and moved it down, put a bar in front of it. That's a major shape. To make a minor shape, we took the finger off to make it an E minor shape. So if you play a normal E minor chord, however you play it, we're just playing it with these 2 fingers, move it down, and the bar. And that's that. Now, it's same with these 5th-string roots. So the 5th-string root, if you've got a minor chord, you're thinking about this A minor shape. So then you change your fingers around, so you're not using your 1st finger. Move it down, put a bar in front, minor shape. And these are just called by the note on the 5th string that we just used. So we take that shape, the A minor shape, put the bar in front, move it down to the 5th fret, so we found out that's D. That's D minor. So that's how we find out the minor chords. So let's try another one. So a very common one, B minor. So B minor, so you find B on your 5th-string root, 2nd fret. You start from there, and then you use these other fingers to make that minor shape, just like that. And then you have your B minor chord. Okay, 1 second. Checking the chat. That's fine. Right. So now onto the hard one. So this is the 5th-string root major bar chord. 5th-string root major bar chord. So I always come to this one because it is the trickiest shape to learn. So there's a couple of ways you can do this that I would recommend it, but we'll come to that in a moment. So you basically want to play an A major chord shape. So normal A major chord, open chord. We change your fingers round so you're not using your 1st finger again. Then you move it fret, put the bar in front. Now there's quite a bit of a reach there between your first 2 fingers, which is why it can seem quite tricky to do at first. And then obviously you move it down to find what chord you're on. So if you're on the 1st fret, it'd be A sharp, it'd be B, C, C sharp, D, and so forth, all the way down. Now that, like I say, is a chord shape that you'll have to work on to get it right, because it's quite a tricky chord shape. But a bit of practice and you'll be fine with it. It takes time, no one gets this straight away. Well, some people do, I suppose, some annoying people, but it does take some practice, this. Now, the other way that the way I prefer to do this and the way I try to teach people, because I think it's a good way of doing these major chords on the 5th-string root, is if you play the rock and roll A chord, which is just the bar across the 2nd fret, you know, like the AC/DC way. Now, when you do that chord shape, you can then take the same principle and use it with a bar chord. So you'd flatten across with your third finger across the D, G, and B strings. You move it up a fret, put the bar in front, and do the same thing all the way down. Now, I do find that people find this shape really hard to do at first, but it's definitely the way that you see most people do this. It's a really good way of doing this chord, so it's worth giving it a shot. So it's the same principle. So this one, I say, is a lot harder, but let's just do a couple of examples. So let's say you're on a 5th string root and you want to play an F chord, or you need to play an F chord further down the neck. So an F, you find F, which is at the 8th fret. You make your bar from the 5th string root, and then you use that major shape. So you can use the shape. Bring up the screen again. So you can use that shape, or you can use that shape. I will always use this shape. It just feels easier for me, so that's the shape I would use. And then you strum down, and there's your F chord. I deaden the string when I'm doing that. It's a really nice sounding chord. Okay, so that's basically it when it comes to the bar chords that I like to cover at this point. And when it comes to the names of the chords, like I said, the more you do them, the more you're going to remember them. So I would recommend take some songs you already know how to play in just normal chords and see if you can transfer them into bar chords. And it's a good exercise to do, so you get used to playing the chords in more than one place. So say you had a normal chord progression. So I think I did there G, D, A minor, E minor. So then I would figure them all out as bar chords. So G to D, A minor, E minor. And it's a really good thing to do. And what we are going to do now, though, is I have got an example chord progression that I'm going to bring up on the screen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find all of these chords and play them as a chord progression. So A major, we have already said, is the 5th fret. So 5th fret bar chord is the major shape, so that's that shape. Next chord, C sharp minor. So this is another question I do get asked a lot, is how do you know which chord shape to use, which one to go for? Now I said go for whatever, which one sounds good, which one's close by. I usually go by what's close by first. So on that sheet, is there any C sharps that are close to the A? And I would say the closest one is the one at the 4th fret on the 5th string root. So I would tend to go from this shape for A major to this shape for C sharp minor. But there's nothing wrong with going from A major to C sharp minor there. It all depends on the context you're playing, and you do have a choice, you can choose which one you want to do. It obviously depends on the sound you're after as well. So I would choose to do A major at the 5th fret, C sharp minor on the 4th fret, F sharp minor, obviously you've got one at the 9th fret, you've also got one at the 2nd fret, and then E major, you've got either your open E, or you've got the 7th fret, and then it's that awkward bar chord shape, or that way of playing it, whichever way you prefer, it's absolutely fine. Then once you've figured them all out, start practicing putting the chords together. And it's a good thing to do to start putting the chords together. So then I'd put a strumming pattern to it, which I'm thinking about doing one of these live streams on strumming patterns, because that was another common question I was asked about. So now I've got the chords: A major, C sharp minor, F sharp minor to E. Okay, so this chord progression I think is in the free resources that I've put to download as well, so that's absolutely fine, you can have that as well. So yes, like I says, if there is any questions about any of this stuff, then feel free to leave a message in the chat, and I will try and answer any of these questions. Now, obviously, this is my first lesson live stream, so I'm not expecting much in the ways of people asking questions or anything. But if you do want to ask any questions on there, then please feel free to do so. I'm more than happy to try and help. I'm not going to stay on this live stream for very long because I do have some Skype lessons that I have to do this evening. I do hope that everyone is staying quite safe and well and isn't getting too bored, you know. I think there's a lot of boredom going around. A lot of the kids I teach at the moment are having lessons via Skype or on Zoom or even FaceTime, some of them. But I can see over this last week or so, people are getting bored, you know. People are starting to get pretty bored, you know. I can see it in the kids. I can see these kids 1 week being really happy because they're not at school, and then this week, and to an extent last week as well, suddenly being really bored. The good thing for me is they are actually practicing their guitar, which is a really good thing, to be honest, as a guitar teacher, to know that kids and people are actually practicing. So that's all fine. Right. Okay, so just a quick recap there on a couple of things. So, first of all, your exercise is exercise number 1 is to take the hand shape and just barring across the fingers. A little other side note that I want to mention here as well is, that I don't think I mentioned earlier, is this finger needs to be completely flat, completely straight. I see this happen a lot, where people bend it towards this knuckle here. They'll bend the finger a bit more like that, so this part's flat and this part's bent. It's not going to be... I mean, when I do bar chords, I do them like that. I actually do bend my finger there, but I have been doing these bar chords for over 20 years now, or longer, I don't know. But when you're first doing it, try and keep this finger... In fact, I'll just get this out of the way. So try and keep this finger as flat as possible. You want it to be straight. So this part of your finger, your tip of your finger, should be pretty much in line with this knuckle here. So nice and straight. If you actually, and you've been doing this longer and you start getting to grips with it a bit more, then you might be able to bend that knuckle a bit more. Depends on your finger shape. So try and keep that finger as straight as you can. Another little thing that I didn't mention earlier as well is the strings can sometimes disappear into the grooves of your finger where the knuckles are on the inside of your finger. So you might want to experiment as well with how high up you have your bar and how low you have your bar. I have friends that play guitar that play with their bar incredibly high. For me, I just can't do that. It just doesn't feel right. I can do it, it just doesn't feel right. It's just not natural. So for me, my finger is quite low, really. I can get the strength into my pinch to get that done. It's not really strength in the fingers as much, it's more in the thumb, really. The thumb's doing a lot of it. So, that's that. And that's your first exercise then. So you're going all the way down the strings, making sure they all the notes sound out. And back up. Second exercise, same thing, but this time with an E major chord shape without using the first finger. So E major, change your fingers around so you don't use your first finger, all the way down. Make sure your thumb's nice and low and your wrist is really low as well. Just like that. And then the third exercise, put them both together. All the way back. And do this with all 4 of those shapes. So as we mentioned, that sheet, which I'll bring up again for you now. So on the sheet, you'll notice there is only 4 chord shapes. There's only 4 shapes to work on. So it makes it sound like it's a small task, but it's not. It's very tricky to do. But you want to then do this same exercises over and over again, building up the strength in the thumb and getting your wrist used to that shape and that hand position. And you're practicing going up and down the neck, and you do those exercises for all of these shapes, and you'll find that if you do that every day and you're conditioning yourself, your bar chords will start to feel a bit easier. When you start getting the chord shapes, then you start looking at playing chord progressions and using these sheets that you download from the link in the description box, you can then, you've got kind of a key. You've got a key to knowing where all of these chords are. So if you think about it, if you can do all of these, then you will have learned all of the major and minor chords all across the guitar on the top 2 strings. Really no small feat, and this is one of those things where if you can do this, I consider yourself to be getting more into the realms of being an intermediate guitar player rather than a beginner guitar player. So that is generally everything I actually want to cover at the moment about Barre Chords. Obviously, I'll probably come back to these another time to see if there's anything else that needs to be covered or anything that I might have missed when I watch this back. But if there is any questions, obviously let me know. But I'm going to have a little bit of a jam again myself now, because I want to have a bit of a jam, have a little play around. So I'm just going to get myself a nice guitar tone. Let's go for something a bit bluesy. Okay, that'll be fine. I think I've got some delays on there. That's cool. Okay. So I'll put my headphones on so I can hear it. Okay. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.